Hey guys, this was Naruto was half Uchiha part 2. In the last video, all that happened was just basically the backstory. I left off as they joined the academy. So this is basically just a time skip. I think I left off somewhere right there, but either way. Um so basically they would now enter the academy, and all throughout the academy they'd basically be the top of the class, both Naruto and Sasuke. And they're kind of, how do I explain their relationship? They're like brothers that are also friends, that are also rivals, that are also enemies, if that makes sense. Like, Naruto thinks of Sasuke as a brother and as a friend, and Sasuke thinks of Naruto as a brother and a friend, but they compete a lot against each other, and they're both really like competitive. And so they're basically rivals, but they treat each other as if they're brothers, or as if they're like the most best friends in the world, basically. And Sasuke is still a little bit jealous because when they were little, was called Naruto basically got treated like what's the word? Got more attention than Sasuke did when he was a kid, because if you remember in the first part, Itachi and Shizui, they both raised Naruto, and so they both gave Naruto more attention because he's the one who needed training, and that was from the third Hokage. That was like, those were orders from the third Hokage. So they did kind of, give more attention to Naruto, and so Sasuke is still a little bit jealous of that, even though he still hates Itachi. And on top of all that, what's it called? He's jealous of Naruto because usually Naruto's the one who beats Sasuke, even if it's by little. He's jealous of Naruto's power. But Sasuke still doesn't know about Naruto's Sharingan. So every single time they're fighting, Naruto technically can't go all out because Itachi and Shizui told him never to show his, or try to never show his Sharingan to anybody except for, except for Itachi, Shizui, and the third Hokage. Nobody can really know about Naruto's Sharingan. And so, yeah. But as I said in the last part, Danzo already knows because he's the reason why Naruto unlocked his 2 Tomoe Sharingan. And he unlocked his 3 Tomoe after seeing Shizui basically die, or after seeing his dead body. And the reason he didn't unlock his Mangekyo, because in order to unlock one, you had to be the reason why the person basically died. And so, yeah, so as I said, he had to be the reason why someone died, because in Shizui's case, he's the reason why one of his best friends died out of jealousy, and he left him basically to die, and he felt guilt, which in turn unlocked his Mangekyo Sharingan. And so the same thing has basically happened to Naruto. So he only unlocked his Straight Tomoe. And again, since he can't really use it against Sasuke, he can't really go full out using his Sharingan. He can only basically be in his base form. And he's still the nine-tailed Jinchuriki, so everybody in that classroom, they don't really like him because their parents tell him not to, not to talk to him, not to blah blah blah, that he's a demon, or stuff along the lines basically. And so Naruto is still kind of an outcast except for Sasuke. Sasuke's basically one of his only true best friends. Everybody else, there's a few other kids like Shikamaru, Choji, those people too. Naruto also thinks of them as friends, and those are the people that don't care what other people say about Naruto and are still pretty good friends with Naruto. Not all the way like Sasuke, but just just kind of friends with Naruto. And so, yeah. Now I'm gonna skip to where the teams are selected. It's still gonna be the exact same one, every single one of them, and this is because they acknowledge that Naruto and Sasuke already have amazing teamwork, because they basically grew up with each other, and they know each other like the back of their hands, and so they think that this might be a really strong group. And then they jazz Sakura because they needed a third person, or because she was also, I'm pretty sure in canon on the test scores, she was like, I think the second smartest, or I forgot if that was Ino. Either way, I'm gonna say in this timeline, she was the smartest except for Naruto and Sasuke, which always tied with each other with 100%. And Sakura was always like technically second, but also third in a way, I guess. And so decided to put her in there to or as well, and they think that this might be an actually really strong team, and so yeah, they put them together, and already they're waiting for Kakashi at this point, and I'm pretty sure right after the teams are, put together, then they have to wait for Kakashi to enter the room and take them or whatever. I'm pretty sure. If not, then I'm just gonna skip to when that happens. And basically at this point, Naruto's asleep, and Sasuke is kind of annoyed because Sakura won't stop, looking at him and kind of trying to talk to him, and Sasuke overall is just getting kind of annoyed. And again, Naruto's asleep, and eventually Kakashi ends up walking in, and he ends up waking up Naruto by basically hitting him in the head, or doing something that Kakashi would do to wake up Naruto, just something, some sort of gag, or something. And this of course would wake up Naruto, and they would all start to listen. And Kakashi, on first look of looking at them, would kind of think not very impressive for first for his first impressions. And so he then basically starts to introduce himself, and they end up going to that one place where they tell each other about everything. The rooftop. There you go. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And they go there and they start talking to what is it called? They start talking about each other's dreams and everything. And first goes Sakura. She says her normal canon thing, basically. And then goes Naruto, and Naruto he says he says that he likes training with Sasuke, hanging out with Sasuke, eating ramen with Sasuke, and the only thing that he says he dislikes is basically when people, when they don't treat him right, or when they like, what's the word I'm looking for? When they uh basically when they don't like treat him right, when they're really mean to him, whenever anything like that happens, he says he dislikes that. And so and then Sasuke basically says that he mainly likes training with Naruto and hanging out with him, and his he basically has no, or I forgot what he said in canon. He says something like, "I have no likes or dislikes, and my dream will become a reality," or something like that. But he does say his likes. He doesn't say his dislikes, but he does say that his dream is not a dream because it will become a reality, and that his reality is to kill a certain someone, blah blah. And of course, Naruto already knows who Sasuke is talking about, and Naruto, he basically does not want to kill Itachi. He just wants answers from Itachi on why Shizui basically fell off and died that day. And so that's like the main reason why he wants to find Itachi. But he also does want to help Sasuke reach his goal of killing Itachi. But he has his secret goal of, he hasn't told Sasuke that he doesn't want to kill Itachi. He's only told him that he'll help him try, kind of. But he just simply wants answers. And so Kakashi will explain to them to meet up tomorrow, to not eat, and to get there super early, and all that. And of course, since Naruto in this, because usually my what ifs, I have him become a perfect Jinchuriki and he can sense lies, but since he's basically just a normal Naruto, just a little bit smarter and a little bit stronger, or not a little bit, a lot stronger, he basically just doesn't sense that he's lying or anything of the sorts. And so he goes home with Sasuke. They train for a bit, and then they eat a lot during or before they go to bed. But then when they wake up, Naruto, he's pretty hungry because he's Naruto. Sasuke isn't hungry because he ate before he went to sleep, and he's still pretty full from that. And he woke up early. Both Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura all got there at the time that Kakashi wanted. But of course, Kakashi didn't end up going at that time. He took like another extra 2 hours or something, and said that he got lost on the path of life. And so yeah, of course Sakura would get angry. Naruto would just be asleep again, and Kakashi would wake him up again, and he would tell them the rules of the bell test about how they had to just get the bells, and whoever doesn't get it gets sent back to the academy, blah blah blah. And this time, Naruto, although he's smart, he doesn't see that this is about teamwork near the Sasuke or the Sakura. But Naruto is pretty smart in this, but he doesn't see why. And then his rival, or like he starts to basically have fun because Sasuke is also trying to get it, and he sees this as a competition, and he always loves whenever they compete with each other, and so he doesn't really pay attention to anything else except for that. And eventually, although they were really close, like this, they were extremely close, the closest that anybody has ever gotten to beating Kakashi. And in this instance, I'm gonna say that the only reason Naruto didn't win is because he didn't have his Sharingan out, wasn't able to dodge or do a bunch of stuff like that. He was basically only able to what is it called? Uh yeah, I'm sorry for what it's called. But I also forgot to mention something, I just completely blanked on it. Is that Naruto, I'm gonna say that he still got tricked by Mitsuki because I'm gonna say he basically let himself be tricked because he knows that there's a lot of um stuff in that scroll that he stole, if you guys remember. And he basically, when he got that, he started memorizing a whole bunch of the um what's it called, a whole bunch of the jutsus, and tried doing as many as possible. The main one that he learned was Shadow Clone Jutsu, of course, still. And eventually, when Mitsuki comes, Naruto decides that it's only him or them two. He's going to use a Sharingan, but in mid battle, while he's with Mitsuki and fighting him, Iruka Sensei comes and he realizes that if he sees the Sharingan, he doesn't know what he's going to do because he's still trying to follow Itachi's and Shizui's order of not showing anybody the Sharingan. And so, in like an instant, he basically just tries to deactivate it and fight normally, which still ends up working because of his shadow clones and all that. And either way, Naruto was always going to be able to pass, but Mitsuki thought that since he was just a genin, even though he was at the top, that maybe he thought that it was a guarantee that he was still gonna win. And he knows that Naruto is pretty dumb, or that's how Naruto acts. Naruto acts pretty dumb, but he's again pretty smart most times. And so, yeah, again, Naruto ends up winning that, and now cut back to the bell test. And so eventually they still end up losing, and instead of Naruto getting tied up, it's Sakura that ends up getting tied up. And in the beginning, Naruto still likes Sakura like he does in canon. Don't worry, it's not gonna stay like that. But for now, just like in canon, Naruto likes Sakura, and Sasuke just doesn't like anyone. And so, Sakura ends up getting tied, and Naruto still ends up feeding her, and Sasuke was going to either way because he knows that she's going to need her strength. And so either way, Sasuke just automatically agreed to Naruto that they're going to feed her. And so, what's called Kakashi says, or Kakashi comes out and says, "You'll pass," and he explains that in the Shinobi world, people who break rules are scum. That's true, but people who abandon their friends are worse than scum. I'm pretty sure that's the line. So either way, he says his, that line, and so Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura all pass. And throughout the month, they're doing, I believe, D or C rank missions. Really easy, like getting the cat out of a tree, those type of missions. And eventually, all three of them start getting bored of doing these small, boring, meaningless missions, and ask Kakashi for a harder one, something that will actually be exciting. And so Kakashi eventually agrees to Naruto that they'll, go basically to the Hokage and request for a higher mission. And of course, the Hokage says yes. And it's the exact same mission, the Tazuna mission, or the Land of Waves arc. This is when it starts. And when Tazuna first comes in, he still makes fun of Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, but Kakashi still ends up telling, or Kakashi basically ends up telling Tazuna that Naruto's Naito Jinchuriki, so you better be careful on what he said, just to scare Tazuna. And Tazuna eventually apologizes to Naruto and says, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean any of that. Blah blah. Please don't hurt me." And Naruto just sitting there confused, like, "Why would I hurt you?" And he would just play it off, and that's when the mission would start. They would end up leaving. Eventually, Naruto he looks up ahead and sees a puddle, and this automatically raises a lot of alarms in his head. And he tells Kakashi and everybody, stand back. There's gonna be an enemy up ahead. And or he would actually no, he would tell Kakashi and say, Kakashi, pretty sure there's an enemy up ahead. Get ready. And Kakashi is like, how do you know, Naruto? And I'm gonna explain to you guys why Naruto knows. And this is because that puddle's there, but there's no river anywhere around that water can come from. And it hasn't rained in the past few days, and there's been nobody on that trail leaving the village or coming to the village at all in the past few days. Because Naruto usually monitors outside just in case they need to go do a mission outside, just so he's ahead or prepared ahead of time. And again, so basically the way he knows is that there's a puddle, but it has not rained in the past month or anything like that. There's no way water can be there. And so he basically tells Kakashi this, and Kakashi goes, well, we all better be careful. And as soon as he says this, the two demon brothers of the mist jump up out of nowhere, and automatically Naruto's already ready. And he goes up there, and let's see. I'm gonna say that Naruto actually started using a sword. I forgot to mention this, but this was a plan from a while ago. But he ends up, bringing swords just in case anything happens. And what's called automatically he gets the swords and starts and he basically slices one in half when they're not like looking, because they're focused on Kakashi, because they think Kakashi is going to be the main threat. And so then Kakashi ends up taking out the other one, interrogating him, and they end up telling all of them, that somebody sent them after Tazuna to kill him. And that's when Kakashi realizes that this mission is a B rank mission, I believe, and that there should be higher ninjas going, or doing this mission. But then Naruto says, "But can we please complete this mission? You saw me. I was able to take that guy out like it was nothing. He was like butter." And Kakashi goes, "Fine, but if there's any sort of danger at all, we're heading straight to we're canceling the mission and heading straight to the village." And Naruto agrees to this. And so, along the way, Tazuna explains to Kakashi that his village is very poor and they cannot afford any sort of, anything like that, or any sort of, what is it called? Basically, they can't afford to pay higher for better ninjas. And so Naruto, or no, not Naruto. So actually, yeah, I don't know where Naruto then senses somebody, because again, he's still a sensory ninja, and he was trained by Itachi and Shizui, and basically, he what is it called? And basically, his sensory, since he's a sensory ninja, and Itachi and all of them knew this, they mainly trained him in sensory type ninjutsu and stuff like that, and so he was really easily able to sense Zabuza. He can sense his malice and everything. And so, from a little ways away, he starts telling Kakashi that there's somebody up ahead with malice, and it's more than likely another enemy. And so Kakashi starts getting ready a bit, and I don't know, where a bunch of fog starts appearing up, and a sword automatically starts coming towards him. But since they're in fog and it's really hard to see through, Naruto decides that it's time to use his Sharingan, because nobody will be able to see him really, and even it's gonna be for like a second, and most people like what's called they're just gonna think that maybe they just imagined a Sharingan or something like that. Like if Sasuke sees Naruto but in thick fog and barely sees like red in his eyes, he might think he just seeing things. So Naruto decides that it's okay to activate his Sharingan here, and this is when right when he activates it, he sees a sword flying right at him, and he tells everybody, "Duck now, everybody, duck or jump." And Sasuke, I mean, not Sasuke, or actually, yeah, Sasuke, Sakura, and Tazuna both duck, while Naruto and I keep on saying, almost accidentally saying Itachi, sorry. Naruto and Kakashi, they both jump up into the air, dodging it, and Naruto lands, and then he looks around and sees, um, what's it called? Sees, I actually forgot his name. Zabuza, there we go. He sees Zabuza, and so is Kakashi, and Kakashi says, "This is Zabuza, the mist." And Naruto decides to deactivate his Sharingan because when Zabuza threw that sword, it knocked a whole bunch of the mist around, and so Naruto's like very visible basically, and so he decides that it's a better idea to just deactivate it, and so Naruto does exactly that, and and Kakashi and Zabuza, they start fighting, and so this, I don't know how to explain it. It doesn't like happen as it did in canon. Naruto, Sasuke, and Zabuza both or what the heck? Kakashi doesn't get that. I cannot speak. Sorry. Um, Kakashi does not get captured, but Naruto and Sasuke are able to help Kakashi defeat Zabuza a lot more easily and a lot more faster. Because again, they've been training for a long time, and just like I'm gonna say that at this point, if Naruto were to go all out, he's extremely strong. A lot stronger than Sasuke so far because he's been doing extra training whenever Sasuke doesn't want to or anything like that. Naruto's almost always training and all that. So yeah. And so they're able to basically defeat Zabuza, and right before Naruto was actually about to kill Zabuza, of course Haku comes in and, tells him that he's an Anbu member, blah blah blah, and takes Zabuza away. And at this point, Naruto was highly suspicious because while he was talking, there was a lot of malice in his voice. Although it sounded calm, he can still somewhat sense the emotion that was in that voice. And it was a lot of malice and kind of anger. Still soft though and nice, but just some anger and malice in there. But they were kind of disguising it really well. And so, yeah. And Kakashi does actually end up using his Sharingan, which, Sasuke surprise, blah, blah. And this still ends up tiring out Kakashi, not as much, but he's still rather tired out from using it. And, Tazuna asks him if they want to maybe stay at his house, while Kakashi, recovers his strength. And of course, Kakashi, he accepts, end up walking there, and Kakashi's basically in bed for like a while. And that's where I'm going to leave out this part. Sorry it's so short. I've been kind of doing short what ifs now, but I'll try doing a long one pretty soon. Either way, hope you guys enjoy this or this what if. If you guys did, like, subscribe, all that, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.